Sabrina Carpenter is not only a pop legend, she's now at the helm of a body of work that is a intricately woven tapestry of cinema, wherein she plays a dimension-hopping, time-traveling mass murderer serial heartbreaker. And I can prove it. Plus, I got to go to her pop-up, and it was really fun. And I got such good pictures. Can I show you? Cute, cute, cute. All right, let's get into it. Thank you for indulging me. Context time. With the release of her most recent studio album, Man's Best Friend, Sabrina Carpenter also released a music video called Tears. Some viewers astutely noticed that the very beginning of this new music video tied in very nicely with the end of the previous one, Man-Child. And in fact, that's not the first time that this has happened in a Sabrina Carpenter music video, indicating that there is a through-line narrative that is a cohesive, larger Sabrina Carpenter cinematic universe. The SECU, if you will. Besides the intro, there are actually a couple of Easter egg references to previous music videos. And since it's uploading, there have been 4 different alternate endings published for this music video.
The one that it's now reverted to is the original, where she makes a joke about somebody dying in every video.
But it's not just that, my friends. It all connects. Let me prove it to you. I sat down and I watched every single Sabrina Carpenter music video, and it goes all the way back to the very beginning. At least it does in my head. You know, I think there's an argument to be made that there is a narrative that goes all the way to her very beginning of her career, music videos. You thought I was gonna start at Espresso and the fact that she gets arrested at the end and then she's in jail at the beginning of Please, 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 or how Man-Child stops with her driving away and then Tears starts with her in a car accident. Nah, we're going all the way back to her Disney days. So buckle up, buddy. Let's do a little deep dive, shall we? Might as well, it could be fun. I'm gonna break down the entire timeline of the SCCU for you. This comes in 5 different phases. All of these flow into one another, and they generally go along album lines, but not entirely. We've got the before phase, we've got what I'm going to refer to as the incident, we have the aftermath and a couple of detours, and then we get into acceptance and the energy harnessed or implemented, if you will. Along with this, Sabrina often makes references to other pieces of media and films. I'm going to try to compile all the Easter eggs and references there, and do a kill counter, because I know that's what you all want, is tell me a list of who died. I'll put it together for you.
We have to give the people what they want.
Some of these theories are probably inaccurate, but it's still gonna be fun. Let's go. So first of all, Sabrina got her start on the Disney Channel, and then, as so many do, she decided to have her foray into pop music. This is the before stage. First we have the before. In this section, the music videos are Can't Blame a Girl for Trying, In the Middle of Starting Over, We'll Be the Stars, Eyes Wide Open, Smoke and Fire, On Purpose, and Thumbs. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time here because these music videos are kind of boring. I'm sorry, it's true, it's teeny bopper stuff. You know, no shade, no hate, but it's also not super cohesive to the rest of the timeline. We just have more meat to get to, okay? So I'll speed through these. Here's my 2-second takes of a breakdown of each of these. This one is Sabrina, the klutzy teenage witch. Then we have the Jess from New Girl intro. Then we have a Flickr post from 2011 that desperately needs to be recolored. We have her dreaming and envisioning her future self. We have her first in-universe heartbreak, which she goes and spends her semester abroad dealing with. And then we have her soft edge rebrand. She's back in New York, and she's got a Sandy from Grease style makeover. So the first chunk of music videos are not necessarily cohesive narratively, but there is the beginnings of the story and a few connections. But in universe, at this point in the timeline, Sabrina, as in character Sabrina, like the narrative Sabrina, is young, she dreams of performing, she lives in New York, studying to be a dancer, a performer, and she experiences her first in-universe heartbreak in the song Smoke and Fire, all right? This is also where we first see any reference to any kind of lipstick. This will be important later. This era is when we first see some of the tangible elements of Sabrina's ultimate brand, like camcorders, platform heels, lipstick. The charmed talismans of the SCCU, if you will. Those are the infinity stones of the SCU. But some of them are conceptual, like dimension hopping or references to TV and film. Who's that girl? It's Sabrina. Dimension shifting here, television here, camera here, lipstick here, and platform heels here. Also, one more thing, you must look at Sabrina Carpenter's hair in this music video. Who did that to her? Did she do that to herself? What a choice. Oh, what a choice. Could you imagine if your awkward teenage years, like every single choice that you made was televised? Oh, could it be me, dog? Could it be me? Again, all of this is teeny bopper stuff. At most, in her Thumbs music videos, she starts to attempt a, edgy rebrand. But, she's still at Hollywood Records, which is Disney's music label. And so it's edgy, but edgy for them, you know? Sandy from Grease type beat. That music video, also, we see the introduction of her platform heels, because Sabrina being short is another part of her brand. And it's stripper core adjacent, but not really. She swings around a pole once, you know? It's not that hardcore. It's very yeah, I cuss a little. Bitch. Hell. That type of beat. But again, these still are pretty separate pieces. There's not really a cohesive thread leading all of the music videos together. That is until we get to the incident. That's when things start shaking up. It's not coherent until we get to the Why music video. In my theory, all of the SECU boils down to the moment at the end of this music video. This is a break from form for Sabrina. It's not teeny bopper, it's not even soft edge, it's cinematic. We get our first scripted lines, which is new for the SECU, and she's talking to her love in NYC, and she asks him, oh, what's your favorite horror movie? Let's say it on 3. The Shining. He says, I don't like horror movies.
Name your favorite horror movie. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I hate horror movies.
What? Did you just, what?
I said The Shining.
No, you
What did you say? Yeah.
Remember that she said that she liked The Shining. That comes back. But at the moment, it's just used as an example of why they're so different and they're not going to be able to make it work out. She loves New York during the day and he loves New York at night. They'll never make it work. And they're also into photography together. At the end of this music video, we see Sabrina leave the diner that she's been sitting in with him and walk away, and then the final shot is a moment where she looks over her shoulder. It's sort of insinuated that the young man in the music video follows her out and asks her to turn around, and love conquers all, and they're gonna make it work despite their differences. But I would argue that it is not the young man who has come to get Sabrina's attention, and instead, she is abducted by aliens and then put under video surveillance. Stick with me, stay there. Is there anything in the Why music video that would indicate this is the truth? No, absolutely not. But the next music video is called Alien with Jonas Blue. And what do we see? First shot, we open up on Sabrina in solitary confinement being surveilled. All right? Not only is she being surveilled, but she is being broadcast to another Sabrina who is also being broadcast outwards. This moment, that Why moment where she turns over her shoulder, is where everything shatters in the SCCU. Now we have several different Sabrinas, and the way that they can observe one another is through televisions or photographs. Stay with me. She was looking at photos and talking about cinema, and something about that moment ripped the fabric of the current reality that we are in and shattered her consciousness across multiple dimensions, which is where the SCCU remains to this day. Sabrina's reality shatters. We now have multiple timelines of different Sabrinas, okay? Maybe it's not aliens, but in universe, this is when narrative Sabrina's reality shifts, and she is now held captive by a series of film and TV related alternate realities. Yeah. In this music video alone, we see at least 3, if not 4 different Sabrinas, and they can all observe each other via television screens. What's more, we see one of the Sabrinas pick up and handle a Super 8 camera that has been featured in previous music videos, indicating that not only does this reality anomaly have something to do with cinema and photography, but that there is a connection between these current split reality Sabrinas and the Sabrinas of the past. This is my theory. Is it probably wrong? Yeah, but it's still fun, so come on, we're in cuckoo land, let's do it. What is the aftermath of this? At this point, she's transported into many different cinematic worlds, all right? Imagine it's sort of like Sabrina Carpenter is now trapped in a television where we are constantly flipping channels and we see a new Sabrina in that new televised reality, all right?
Every channel is a new movie and every music video is a new channel.
And each channel is a different cinematic universe. From rom-coms to horror to the news channel eventually. But we'll get there. Now Sabrina is trapped inside of different cinematic realities, and each music video is now a new reference to a different movie. It's a cinematic universe of cinematic universes, if you will. The first music video that we have after the Alien music video is Almost Love. This one is a blatant reference to Mean Girls. We've got the burn book, we've got the mansion, we've got the squad of pretty girl, mean girl friends. And this is also the first music video where she murders someone in cold blood. She does so via her magical lipstick. And is this burn book probably a nod to the fact that at this point in time she was on Broadway as Katie Heron in Mean Girls the Musical? Yes, of course, but that's less fun. Come on, Cuckoo Land, remember? Our kill count is at 1. She kisses her love interest, turns him to stone via her magical lipstick. After that, we've got the Sue Me music video, which the channel has shifted, and now we're in the Legally Blonde universe. Sabrina, just like Elle Woods, goes through heartbreak, and now she's gone to law school about it, which is another brick in the foundation of the ultimate Sabrina Carpenter final form, which is very smart but girly at the same time. I don't think she kills anybody in this one. She kills her finals, I think.
The argument could be made that there's somebody dead in the trial that she's presiding over at the end, but I zoomed in on the books on the stand and it looks like they're about tax evasion.
Up next is the Paris music video, and it is kind of boring, TBH. It's probably some reference to some cool French Art Nouveau movie that I don't know, so sorry. But there is a couple of moments that are important. One, at the very end of the music video, we see a slightly different Sabrina than the one that's featured for a majority of it. This one is more akin to that 1960s high femme classic movie starlet vibe that is the current Sabrina era. I would say insinuating that this is a different Sabrina from a different reality come to check on French Nouveau Sabrina. And so, my theory is that not only has reality fractured for Sabrina Carpenter in the SECU, and now she's captured in a bunch of different cinematic universes, but the only way that each of the Sabrinas can observe one another and travel to the next reality is via film and photographs. Photos and film are the portals that allow Sabrina to travel between universes.
We will see this more in upcoming videos, specifically in my bed, but right now we are getting peeks at it. For example, that Super 8 camera from the Will Be the Stars music video and the Aliens music video, we now see Super 8 footage of French Nouveau Sabrina. And in the previous music video, Sue Me, we again saw her on film and photographs in her hot tub interview.
And sure, is it more likely that she just grew up in an entertainment industry and thus has a deeper and more thorough appreciation of everything that goes into cinema and visual storytelling? Of course it is, but that's lame. We're living in fantasy cuckoo land, come on.
Now we are still in the aftermath stage. However, at this point, Sabrina's career takes a few detours.
One of which is the death of Cameron Boyce, who is an actor who was on Disney Channel at the same time as Sabrina, and Sabrina was close with, and who passed away
tragically at the age of 20 due to an epileptic seizure.
The next music video after his passing is a music video called Exhale, and it doesn't fit as neatly into the narrative, which makes me think that it is probably a piece that she felt like she had to make to process and make art about, rather than a part of the cohesive arc of the SCCU. At most, it references this famous painting, but it's not a very big bells and whistles production, so it makes me think that it's something that she did because of the timing of what was happening in her personal life. I'll mention another detour in a minute, but that will be in reference to a certain somebody getting their driver's license. Wink, wink. After Exhale, we have the In My Bed music video. This is a return to the narrative about the split realities. In this music video alone, we have like 17 different Sabrinas.
We also get to see Sabrina looking into different parallel realities. I would say this music video is the strongest case for the transportation via analog media argument. And her looking into all of these different timelines is driving her absolutely bonkers.
Big goo-goo eyes. We have her in a straitjacket, she's surrounded by businessmen, and photos of herself. Now, this is also technically the last music video that she makes with Hollywood Records, with Disney, and is that visual probably more likely a reference to her feeling very strapped down and observed by these executives who are telling her what to do? Yes, that is plenty likely. But still, it's gotta connect. We're gonna try to connect it, all right? So, that is the In My Bed music video. After that, we have another Reactionary music video due to timing and a bit of a detour. that comes in the form of the Skin music video.
This video depicts Sabrina and her love in an isolated environment by themselves, seemingly unaffected while the world shakes and quakes around them, like being in the midst of a snow globe that's been shaken up.
For those of you who don't know, in 2019, the smash hit was a song called Driver's License. This song was made by Olivia Rodrigo, and it's generally accepted that Driver's License is about the love triangle between Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, and Joshua Bassett. It's assumed that the blonde girl who's so much older than Olivia is probably Sabrina.
Teen drama aside, this was the first cultural moment that made Sabrina a common household name. This song was huge, even referenced on SNL. Thus, we get the Skin music video.
And she mentions in the BTS that this was a more raw and vulnerable music video. And she's gone on record saying like, oh no, the fact that I made a couple of seemingly direct nods to Driver's License, that was just a coincidence. But I don't believe that for a second. I think that her marketing team saw that opportunity, saw the fact that people were Googling who Sabrina Carpenter was, and she decided to take advantage of it and try to ride the wave. And so she put out Skin as a response. Maybe blonde was the only rhyme. Don't drive yourself insane. Come on. Come on. We know that that's all part of the beef.
However, since then,
It seems like they have buried the hatchet, as it were. I think that there's a possibility that Taste is supposed to be them making fun of that previous beef, or at least Sabrina making fun of it. The next music video, Skinny Dipping, is able to connect the previous two music videos and the following one in one fell swoop. One, this music video is tonally similar to Skin. She's hurt. She's trying to encourage herself after a lot of dramatic heartbreak in the previous era. Two, it's also still got this like
reality glitching motif. Also,
she's literally talking to a tree like she's crazy, similar to the In My Bed music video.
but there's also a couple of visual echoes of music videos we've seen before. Most notably, the clocks that were on the wall that were all set to different times in the In My Bed music video are now being smashed up in Sabrina's garage. In my canon, that's her giving up on trying to keep track of all the different timelines.
In Skinny Dipping, we see narrative Sabrina comforting herself, writing herself encouraging phrases. But by the end of it, she has accepted. It also ends with another death. This one is just insinuated. Metaphorically, it could be like the death of her old self. So after that, that is our acceptance period. And that's when things start to get juicy in the SECU. Then we have another Sabrina come in and flare through the screen on a hot pink motorcycle. No longer on this light blue bicycle. Hot, ready to go. And it's a direct reference to the next music video, Fast Times. This one in the Fast and the Furious franchise. They're hot. They're moonlighting as mechanics. There's violence, there's espionage.
There's a brunette Sabrina?
And now, Sabrina is dabbling in organized crime, which she will pick up as a hobby more in full force later. This phase after Skinny Dipping, I'm referring to as the acceptance period, where she's no longer trying to fight the multiple realities that narrative Sabrina has been forced into, and instead is allowing it to happen.
Up until this point, I think you could say that the argument could be made that the music videos are connected via my dimension hopping parallel reality baloney, but from here on out, it is definitive telegraphing of what's coming next. Fast Times ends with her getting kidnapped and ostensibly being forced into a life of organized crime, where she's in bedazzled cat suits and traipsing through lasered vaults.
This music video ends with her opening a box and a gold light being shined on her face. We don't get to see what's inside of the box. However, the next music video, we have a music box being opened up and that same gold light now being projected onto the viewer. This music video is Because I Liked a Boy. It's in this sort of fantasy realm.
We have a very Moulin Rouge style opening beat and aesthetic, but narratively, it's more of a reference to Driver's License.
It talks about how she's been getting death threats. She has been having a hard time, all because she liked a boy. In the music video, we see her as a performer at the circus. There is more implied off-screen violence via a tiger mauling that narrative Sabrina takes the brunt for, and she's ostracized and ousted.
There is a possibility that this is supposed to take place inside of her head, a la Inside Out, and glitzy glammy Fast Times Sabrina makes another appearance.
The end of Because I Like a Boy is watched on a laptop on a train.
While Sabrina thinks about the quote-unquote email she can't send and a tornado rages outside.
Which brings us kind of back into reality, or a more reality-adjacent cinematic universe. Is this for sure, like, kind of a shoehorned in product placement that she probably got paid for? Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. But what it also does is take the SCCU back into a more reality-adjacent universe, a la the teen comedy movies of Superbad, or like that 70s show for the music video Nonsense. Now we get to see a gender-bent Sabrina. This music video also establishes one of Sabrina's iconic elements, which is her general disdain for men. Boy Sabrina is pictured with the word dipshit on his hat. And it should be noted, however, that all of Sabrina's misandry is always tongue-in-cheek. Even in the man-child music video, which is her most obvious, like, man-hating video, her disdain is never said in earnest. It's almost only ever said as a joke. We watch Sabrina in the man-child music video jump from relationship to relationship, loser to loser, but it's baked into the lyrics that the problem is not with them. The problem is with her. She says, I swear they choose me, I'm not choosing them. But it's literally pictured, the elephant in the room is that Sabrina is the problem. Okay? It's a joke. Same with all of the sex jokes. They're all jokes. That's what the Juno positions and the nonsense outros are about. Her Juno is part of what made her pop off on tour. People would tune in originally for her nonsense outros, which were very explicit and targeted for the audience that she was singing to and the city she was in at the time. And then she also had her Juno positions that she would do a different sex move per city, which makes it very fun, but it's a joke. However, that means that when Man's Best Friend comes out and the album cover is very sexual, it does enrage a lot of folks.
With the title of Man's Best Friend and with her being posed like a dog on the cover, this album art caught a lot of flack for being anti-feminist for some and overly explicit for others.
To me, it doesn't strike me as fully anti-feminist so much as it just strikes me as, like, have you ever made like an inside joke that your friends would have gotten, but with the wrong audience does not play well? It feels like that sort of a thing where her fans know that this is a bit, but the rest of the world does not.
He's since gone on record saying that the photo was supposed to be cheeky and playful and not like degrading, but she couldn't really get that performance out of the male model she was working with.
It's so funny thinking about it now because I wanted a man playing with my hair. And I actually used maybe 5 different men to take that photo because none of them could play with my hair. They were all pulling it. Like they were all like nervous to be holding my hair. Wow. And so the grip looked like they were like yanking it. And the whole purpose of the photo was supposed to be
Playful and
cheeky and airy and playful of like, you know, I got myself here I am. Like, this is someone I love, but also someone that doing a lot with my heart.
Granted, in a world where some women are still treated like second-class citizens, like dogs, I can kind of see where the joke doesn't play, even though it's more obvious from the songs that she feels like she's being treated by like a dog by these men. Whoopsies. Look, girl, we all been there, you know? Anyway, okay, sorry, I got off track a little bit, but
beyond just her hatred for men, Nonsense also features a camcorder, which the VHS VCR nostalgia core aesthetic is ultimately a huge part of the visual language that Sabrina Carpenter's music videos bring to the table.
The next phase is what I'd like to call the implementation or the harnessing phase, where Sabrina is able to start taking this setup, this fractured reality, and use it to her own benefit. How? The Feather music video. So, Nonsense ends with Sabrina talking to the male version of herself and leaning over his car, which has what? A New Jersey license plate, despite the fact that he's wearing a New York jacket, because of course he is. Dipshit male Sabrina would be from Jersey, but say that he's from New York. But it doesn't matter because where do we start the beginning of the Feather music video? The streets of NY, baby! This music video marks the beginning of this most recent phase of the SCCU, which is her harnessing and implementing her own powers for her own needs. First of all, we see a bunch of different men trying to capture Sabrina's attention and her not paying them any mind, and them meeting very violent ends. This music video really kicks off the death toll in the SECU. Every single man in this music video dies, and Sabrina is mourning them at the funeral, but not really. And our death toll for this one is at probably 15. Just as a side note, a real life detail, apparently the priest who allowed them to film this music video got fired from his job. Oops, which I mean makes sense. But I mean, it's great for the brand. That blue ceiling, perfect. We see her mourning the death of these men, but not really. But the moment that truly indicates that Sabrina is taking matters into her own hands and fully embodying the Sabrina Carpenter that we know today is the moment where she murders a man in an elevator for being finance bro D-bag. She kills him in cold blood, looking it down the barrel of the lens of the camera, in a way that is very reticent to The Shining, which we've established in the SCCU is what? Her favorite horror movie. So she's now able to harness the powers of the different cinematic universes to her benefit. Right? Now we have the fully realized version of Sabrina's girly pop princess aesthetic next to outrageous and gory violence. Which, I mean, girls are drawn to that. I teach improv to kids, and like out of nowhere, sometimes little girls will get very dark. There's something in them that really digs the macabre. A la Wednesday, the Netflix show, which has a very dark sense of humor, and stars Jenny Ortega, who is featured in the Tate's music video. The next music video is her Christmas album. The cinematic universe that we're in is the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And it's insinuated she still has her affinity for crime and criminal activity because she's dating somebody on the naughty list. He's got a wife beater and tattoos, so he's probably not a good guy. But, you know, Santa doesn't know him like she does. That's the name of the song. And she's also, again, watching herself. All right. Then we have Espresso. This is the fully realized version of Sabrina Carpenter who we know today. What does it start with? A very 1960s aesthetic. She kills a man, takes his money, has fun with the girlies, and then ultimately gets arrested. This is her smash hit. It's the song that puts her on everybody's radar. And now everybody is on board with the aesthetic and the vibe of the SCCU. This is when her branding has finally hit its stride. And so at this point, Sabrina, the brand, has been firmly established. It's this analog, nostalgia core VCR aesthetic. And it also incorporates her dry, clever, usually sexual sense of humor. And advertisers start utilizing this too. She's in Dunkin' Donuts commercials where she's working at a sex hotline from like the 1980s. We have her partnership with Redken where she is talking about loving a good bang, right? There's also a couple of other press things that she does where we get to see alternate reality Sabrinas, like Katrina Carpenter for the release of Man's Best Friend. Apple TV literally recorded that entire interview on the actual vintage cameras she references in her work. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, now the through-line narrative comes out in full force. The end of Espresso, we see Sabrina getting arrested, and the music being piped in through the police PA system is the beginning of Please, 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 which is the next music video, which opens with her getting bailed out of jail. All right. We also see her Prada lipstick, which she has a partnership with Prada and is now being featured in multiple music videos.
Please, please, please see Sabrina continue in her journey into the seedy criminal underbelly via her probably not good for her love interest, whom she begs to behave.
Up next, the violence continues in Taste, the music video. Espresso also is reticent of all of the teen beach movies from the 60s. And Please, Please, Please is all of the crime boss movies like The Godfather
and Goodfellas.
Taste, the music video, is very reticent of the movie Death Becomes Her. Up next, we have a music video with Dolly Parton. That's Dolly's cover of Please, Please, Please. There's two women on a road trip, very Thelma and Louise. I think this connects more neatly with the end of the previous Please, Please, Please music video, and the man who is kidnapped and duct taped down at the end ends up in the back of Dolly and Sabrina's car. At the end of this Please, 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 they get pulled over and Sabrina has to be on the run. Mayhaps hitchhiking? Hey. Very Man-Child, which is the music video that comes next. This music video I could spend forever on. There are so many quirky, insane visuals, and it watches just like a trailer for a bunch of movies that don't exist.
This is a deep cut, but do you remember the commercial that would play at the beginning of VHS tapes that was like Paramount's ad for their like family collection of movies? That is what Manchild reminds me of. It's so many stories just crammed into such a short period. You also see several deaths in this music video, including but not limited to somebody driving off a cliff, somebody being set on fire, somebody huffing paint in a bathtub, somebody being blown up for sure, and more. But there's also references to The Notebook and a few others.
The Princess Diaries and Legally Blonde. It kind of has the vibe of like an Erin Brockovich, which is a movie about a woman who doesn't get taken seriously because of her appearance, which feels very Sabrina core. And we see her in all these different relationships and just slightly odd situations. So many! This music video is crazy. It's like every half a second there's something else insane. Also, similarly to the Espresso music video, the cars are very weird and unusual, kind of as a metaphor of the different men that she's picking up along the way. But we also get to see her drive off into the sunset, only for the Tears music video for her to be in a car crash. This music video is sort of a leaning into the camp side of Sabrina, as well as the sexual one. And when you think camp and when you think sexual, where does your mind go? A Rocky Horror Picture Show, baby. And that's exactly what she references. This Sabrina is letting loose with the freaks of society, and
there are additionally a couple of Easter eggs. We see a bus like the young man who was her first victim, and a Joker reference, I think.
Interestingly though, within the first week of this music video being published, there are multiple alternate endings that get published with it, each of which deciding the fate of the young man that we begin the video with. The first one released is, wait, you're supposed to die? It's a thing, everyone dies in a music video. One who murders him with her high heel, one who watches him get crushed by a tree branch, and the other one who just gets to see a piano fall out of nowhere onto him. And finally, the one where he doesn't die, but he does join the freak show inside. Very fun. Oh my god, the 3 alternate endings might be 3 different directions that the next music video is going towards. Depending on the way that one of them died, maybe that's the next music video. She hasn't decided yet if she's going to do House Tour or if she's going to do Nobody's Son. And so she's baked in all these 3 different directions she could go because every Sabrina Carpenter music video ends where the next one begins. And she doesn't know which the next one is going to be because she doesn't know which one's going to be the biggest pop hit, which one's going to be the espresso of this album. Oh my gosh. Mark my words, next music video that comes out, it's gonna reference one of the 3 alternate endings, but we're not sure which one. I'm gonna do a follow-up on that then. And so there you have it. That's the SECU in its full form, in the full through-line narrative from the very beginning of Sabrina's work. 20 videos, 20? 29 videos, all stitched together in a cohesive tapestry of cinema. Pretty cool, pretty cool. But that's just a girly pop theory. Ding! Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more, please do like and subscribe. I've really enjoyed these past couple of videos where I've basically just been the embodiment of this meme, but for whatever I've been thinking about lately. I have a Patreon that you can subscribe to if you'd like to see my extended thoughts on things like Taylor Swift and Disney movies.
You can join for as low as $1.
I've decided the first 10 people who are my first 10 Patreon subscribers will get a personalized pun off of their name and an email thank you. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
The follow-up T-Swift video is coming, I promise. I love you, Swifties.